Hello again. This time I just want to talk about my guitar, introduce it to you. It's a 1959 Guild CE 100. Little story about how I found this one. I was living in Berkeley, California around the year 2000, 2001. And I met a guy who worked on guitars. We were talking about guitars, and he thought that the Guilds were undervalued jazz guitars. I happened to be in San Francisco at a shop called Real Guitars around 2001, and I saw this one, and I guess I can tell you what I paid for it. I paid $800. So I bought it, and I've enjoyed it, and I've been playing it a lot recently, partly because it's kind of small, and I have some more expensive guitars that I am afraid to scratch. This one's all beat up. I'm not sure you can see, but on the back there's lots of scratches, and originally, I don't know what it sold for, but it probably wasn't very expensive. Some guitars, as you might know, use solid wood on the top. This guitar has a laminate or a plywood top. Actually, if you research it, a lot of jazz players prefer to play a laminate top as opposed to a solid top guitar. They don't feed back quite as much for an electric guitar. So the luthier that I met in Berkeley told me a story. I haven't confirmed it, or haven't been able to confirm it, that when this guitar was made around 1959, Guild had gotten a lot of the makers from the old Epiphone factory, or they merged or something, so that they were old European furniture makers, and they were pretty good craftsmen. So this guitar is really fun to play. It's got a very flat neck, and it's a well-made guitar, even though it's kind of dinged up. One funny thing about it is, if you look at the sticker inside the guitar, there's a Guild guarantee sticker. And I know that the model is the CE 100, but it doesn't say that on here. And it does say factory second. So this guitar was actually a factory reject. I think the reason may have been that there's just a small blemish in the finish on the front here, which of course doesn't affect the tone at all, but they couldn't sell it as first quality. I know from my father was in the manufacturing business that you can't sell anything first quality. Some makers go to the extent of destroying guitars that are not first quality. They don't want them to get out on the market and ruin the reputation. I'd made one alteration in this. I didn't like the tuners that it came with. They were kind of cheap and funky. So I put on some Waverly open back tuners, which are probably the highest quality open tuners that you can buy. I forget the ratio, but it's a fairly high ratio, and they're really good quality, and they're very light, so I like that. I think somebody changed the position of the strap pin from here to here. That's a change that I usually make as well. I don't think that's a good place for it, right there. So the top, I'm not sure the material. It might be spruce, it might be something else. It was probably steam formed. got the simple trapeze tailpiece. I believe this is a rosewood bridge. It's carved. You can't adjust the intonation individually. You can raise it up and down. The intonation is pretty good. I'm currently using Diodario Chrome 11 gauge strings, flat wound strings. I tried round wounds on it to try to make it into a rock and roll, rockabilly type guitar. It didn't really cut it. It's got a single coil pickup, which I like the tone of it. Very, very simple guitar. It's just got one volume knob and one tone knob. You don't need any switch with one pickup. This older Guild, it has this, what they call the mustache type of a head carving here that Gibson guitars have. So I think most of the later Guilds don't have this, so it's only the older ones that have this. But I agree with the guy that it's a little bit similar to a Gibson 175 type model, a single cutaway. Pretty good for jazz. I really like the tone. Right now it's just straight with no effect at all. So I'm playing just with my fingers. If you play with a pick, I think it has a very nice, even, warm tone. One of the reasons I'm giving a little demo on this guitar now is it's about as stock as I can get it, except for the tuners. For a while I took off the pick guard and the pickup cover because in my fingerstyle playing I sometimes click my fingernails on the pick guard and the pickup cover, so I'm going to take them off. I wanted to show it to you in its original condition. I wrapped some black duct tape around the single coil pickup, which doesn't look very good. So with the pickup cover off and the pick guard off, it's a little bit uglier, but it suits my purposes a little better. If I roll back the treble, I can get a bassier tone. All right, 1959 Guild CE 100.